But also, I think that publishing houses are looking a lot more. In my own experience, I don't know. I throw that at you, and I'd like to know what you think about that. But I think they are becoming more interested in underground work than ever before.
They need
and that's exactly right, because they need to they need to survive. I mean, I think that it's coming out of need.
Absolutely.
Because of the competition.
Well, I think they ignored a lot of people for a long time in favor of this very MFA, this very MFA head of what can often be very, I won't say boring, but just not very interesting. A lot of that MFA head, that MFA genre of writing, I find very dull. And when you grow up on the streets of New York and you get to travel and have a very unconventional lifestyle, and then choose to write out of a passion, I don't think that my work necessarily has a very mainstream appeal. So why go to a mainstream publisher if what I'm producing may not be what it is they're looking for?
I also, interestingly enough, I find that, especially with Contraband, it's a novel that could have that mainstream appeal
with the right fit.
I mean, I felt also, the use of language, the different techniques that you use to develop your narrative. There is a little bit of everything. It's a very eclectic novel, but for some reason it really took me back to, it's very cinematographic.
Oh yeah.
So that's one of the things that I enjoyed about reading Contraband. Talking about the relationship, between your work and then the market that is out there, probably the underground writer nowadays has a little more of a voice in that main street market out there. I don't know exactly. Do you have any ideas about why this is happening?
I mean,
is it that the public view in regard to what literature is changing due to?
Absolutely, and I think again the internet has a lot to do with that too. Because Contraband I didn't self-publish it. It was published. It was published by Rebel Satori Press, which is a very eclectic press to begin with. And it was great working with them because we were able to see eye to eye, and they did very little to. I mean, I developed this book over the course of about 5 years, and I cut about a third of it out just to make it lean and mean and to move faster. But the editor there, the publisher is the editor, interfered very little in the editorial process and made some adjustments here and there, but really sort of let it, just kind of trusted what I had done, and didn't have to. He certainly could have exercised more editorial power insofar as affecting changes and sending it back for me to redevelop and etc. But no, I think to answer your question without being too circumspect, I think there's always been an underground literary scene, obviously.
Well, definitely.
I just think that it's more visible now, and I think that now, I think back in the day, which is such a weird term, but let's say back in the 1980s, after the punk explosion, for instance, there was this explosion of punk-influenced fiction and poetry, theatrical stage plays. And I think in those days, if you didn't win the favor of the Village Voice,
or the New York Press,
or whatever few sympathetic media outlets available to you, people really just didn't hear about your work. By word of mouth, obviously, if you were out there marching every day, but it would catch on. But now we have the ability to put our book covers onto a page somewhere that an unlimited amount of people can access, and then click on and find out more about, and there's a lot of saturation to deal with in that respect. But that's the marketing. That's making people aware of something, and the internet has changed that dramatically. So I think what it's done is that it's made the underground more visible, and that can be good or bad. I mean, I kind of enjoyed underground values when they were less known. That's what made them so special.
I think that's a problem that ultimately the creative personality is always going to have. I mean, we're talking literary theory about, you know, the aesthetics that is regulating somehow the aesthetical values of a particular generation of readers,
subcultures,
writers. But then it is really what Todorov, the critic, calls the aesthetics of impermanence is ultimately the one that becomes more interesting simply because of the fact that it's less visible to you know, to the mass media. However, that aesthetics ends up becoming at some point the mainstream.
The mainstream winds up absorbing it,
so, or it becomes part of it in a way, and I think that that's also what happened with alternative press at times.
Yes.
So, do we have more flexibility as? Do you have more flexibility as a writer now to get your work out there? I mean, how is the series Panic contributing to that?
Well, I mean, through Panic, I'm just able to meet a lot of other writers, and not just that they're queer specific, but writers that are writing in various different disciplines, who know people who work in the industry. So, you know, someone like my friend Lee Haug, for instance, just had a book published by Kensington Press. You know, it's through people that you meet other people. So I think if you have a reading series as an aspiring writer, you're going to meet more people in the industry, and knowledge is power. Whether you wind up working with them or not is a different thing. But I think the most important thing is working long enough in the trenches to define your own voice. You know, and I'm just getting there. I'm just getting there, and I've been writing seriously. This is 2010. I've been writing seriously for almost 15 years. With, you know, I mean, I have a lot of stuff that I've written that's never going to get published because no one's ever going to. I'm not going to show it to anyone. It was a foundational work, and
I guess you have the right to do that.
But you know, I mean, Contraband is technically the third novel I've written, but the first that was someone else had the faith to put out. But it takes a while to get there. And
how did that make you feel as a writer, submitting your manuscript to?
Well, it was the perfect press. I mean, I learned about Rebel Satori Press through the poet Emmanuel Xavier, who's a friend of mine, groundbreaking New York gay Latino spoken word poet, and he had written a novel back in, I think, 1999 called Christ-like, and Rebel Satori reissued it. I think it was 2 years ago. About 2 years ago. So when I learned, when, you know, Emmanuel made this big announcement, and I was like, well, this song, first of all, the press has a really cool name. I love the name Rebel Satori. And then I went to their website and looked at, you know, researched them, and sent the editor an email introducing myself and this book that I was working on. And it was one of those things where for years and years and years I tried and either never heard back, or got, you know, I've got about 30 rejection letters that I'll never throw out because they make me laugh now, and they used to really upset me. And then when it happened, it was just easy. Like I just thought, okay, someone just told me they want to publish my book. You know, and granted, it's not like Random House or the top 10, but it's a start.
Is it important for writers to get accustomed to rejection?
Yes.
In the process?
Yes. I mean, if you're not, you know, if you're going to self-publish, there are no rejection letters. That's the great thing. But I think rejection letters are good because you think, you know what, this didn't make the cut, and it may be because it's not ready because of me. I haven't gotten the manuscript to the point where someone sees value in it. Or, you know, the editor's assistant was having a bad day, and all the manuscripts that came in were all rejected.
So it's ultimately all relative.
It's all relative, and you have to keep throwing stuff out there, and at some point someone will catch it.